I wanted to do it all day, every day, like relentlessly. The hustle culture became quite toxic.
My name is Harry, and I work in crypto.
Harry Horsfall.
He's the man behind ZEBU.
Harry.
Hey.
So try and explain to those that don't understand what Web3 is.
Web3 is like a catch-all term. Web 1 is read. Web 2 was read and write. Web 3 is read, write, own. Everyone is decentralized and everyone is owning what they make. I failed multiple times, you know. I struggled with education and the system. Whatever role you're doing, you have to learn. The option of not doing what I like doing, it is almost harder than doing what I don't like.
Just quickly before we get into today's show, I have a quick favor to ask. Wherever you're listening to this, if you could just smash the subscribe button, it would mean an absolute ton. And it would not only help me now, but also help Rue, Elliot, and Gabriela continue building the quarter life crisis and help as many people as possible build a life they love. And with that being said, let's get started with today's show. Harry.
Hey.
I find it important to start all my podcasts with the same question because usually it sets a narrative for the rest of the conversation. And that question is, are you happy?
Am I happy? Yeah, I think so. Mildly happy. I think that's a bit like asking, are you happy today? Or you're happy this week? Or are you happy this month? It's fluctuating states, I guess.
Okay. What in your opinion is required to live a happy life?
Health is wealth. There you go. So I think being able to cycle, being able to speak, being able to play tennis, being able to even walk, you know, I think is important. And I guess everything else stems into that.
Yeah.
Family.
Do you believe we should chase happiness?
Hopefully we're working towards something that makes us happy because it's, I guess, bigger than just material things, you know, like, or any goal. Once, you know, if you look at when we were first living in London and, an entry-level salary is, is barely covering rent and, you're getting to the end of the month and all you're doing is trying to survive, isn't it? Like 10 years on, we're still just getting to the end of the month. It's just like slightly nicer things, but it's the same. It's the same
struggle.
It's the same struggle. So I think, before wanted to do something and then you've done it, it's a constant. So I think it's about trying to find happiness in and I'm quite strategic in the way that I think. And sometimes it can be tough to find happiness in the sense that once you've achieved what you want to achieve, you're already thinking 5, 6, 10 years in the future. And like, what's that V2, V3? I even see it with events when I'm running events. I'm like, oh my God, I love how that looks. Next time I need lighting down there. Next time I need 3 check-in ladies or guys there, So I think, whereas actually some moments you've got to stop and, there's nothing, as a DJ, you must know when you're standing behind, there's something amazing about standing in front of a sea of people who are engaged in the content you're creating. Yeah. That is a happy moment, isn't it? Yeah. Like that is a really, I'm not a DJ myself. So, I'm more of a, behind the scenes character, but like still in that moment when what we've created creates that's very exciting.
Right. As you describe it, then it indeed sounds like it's quite hard to live in the moment when you're constantly evaluating what's next, I guess.
Exactly.
Would you say that's one of the main things you struggle with, or getting by?
It's like everything, isn't it? Like opposite of love is hate. The counterbalance is indifference, like if you're indifferent about something, so what we do in marketing is a lot of times we have to, like, if people are indifferent about our message, then we failed, like we want our message to be to a point where some people love it, some people hate it. Deep down, we're in conversation. As you know, whereas if I was indifferent about something, I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that. I'm not listening to that. I'm not engaging with it.
Right. For this podcast, I use it as research for a potential book that I will eventually write. And for that book, I have a guiding research hypothesis. That hypothesis is that passion gives purpose. What is your thoughts on that hypothesis?
Yeah, I mean, there's something I want to say that's probably not quite right for the podcast, but
Go for it.
100%. And like, if you look at, you know, if you know someone's really passionate about football, when it comes to buying them a present, and you're in Portugal, you can buy them a Portuguese shirt. You know, like there is that passion that you know, it's built in. You know, if we look at, you know, as we move into this Web3 world and NFTs and all this stuff, all it really is putting people's passions in the existing world online and making them digital. Really, that's where once we've moved through where we've gone through, you know, and coming from a sort of a music and events background, and seeing that, like, deep down, people are passionate about the music. They're not excited about Eventbrite, who sold them the ticket. Yeah. Like, that's a transaction. People are passionate, and you know, if you see big acts, you know that when they release tickets, those tickets sell like that. Yeah. So definitely, I think, you know, following that passion, and I've had various phases of that passion as my life has changed. You know, when I was very young, I was very passionate about sport, and, you know, then I suddenly got very passionate about music. Yeah. And, you know, suddenly I was going to Amsterdam, and, you know, Croatia. I spent a lot of time in Croatia, and those festivals would last sort of 4 or 5 days, and suddenly, like, waking up at 6 a.m. to drive somewhere to play, you know, sport is not as exciting. Yeah. And then it's quite, as you know, as we moved on, you know, startups and entrepreneurship and Web3, a new, you know, almost, it's a new passion. So I think constantly finding your passion, and, you know, I talk about in some groups I'm in about a dream job, like whatever dream job you have, there's lots of tedious parts, and, you know, like, you know, there's bits that you love, but also eventually that comes with bits that you don't like. Yeah, exactly. When will you write the book? Once I'm at a stage that I think, okay, now I have enough input. I have already started with like a first chapter and stuff, but yeah, this will obviously continue organically. Before we then dive into what your current passion is, I want to ask what you would describe the beginning of your 20s like. So the beginning of my 20s, it's university, and I was very passionate about skiing. Skiing was the passion at that time, you know. I was a ski instructor. I wanted to do it all day, every day, like relentlessly, and then organizing events. And I happened to be at university, which was not my passion, because I struggled with education and the system, and the sort of like, you know what, you don't have to come. You know, actually, we met a lot of our friends in first year where we failed the year. Yeah. We had to go back for summer camp. But that's so I guess the passion was very much running these events and skiing, and, you know, they were a very good sort of mix. You know, we took what was a concept, and, you know, it's funny when you go in, because everyone has the same space. But it's how you bring your events really are passion, aren't they? Yeah. Like, you don't own anything. You don't own the land. You don't own the decks. You don't own the decor. The people that are working for you are not really working for you, because they're just paid per hour. Yeah. And what you create with an event is passion, isn't it? Yeah. That was quite hedonistic. Yeah, bringing people together, basically. Yeah. Bringing people together over a shared goal. Yeah. And, you know, like at Exeter, there was a big sports culture on a Wednesday. You know, that was that was a clear tribe. And then there was people, what I wanted to create was a sort of underground music, creative, expressive culture. And that really was passion, you know. And like the goal there was to meet other people that are into that sort of space. And, over time, there's so many cool things that have spun out of that initial sort of creation. And, like we still luckily do some charity events.
Yeah. Because what I assume you finished university, right?
Yeah.
Then at some point you go on and you have, from what I could see at least, quite a few different jobs in a relatively short time span. So like 6 months here, then a year there, and a year there, and then eventually you end up founding your events organization, at which you were working 7 years.
Kind of. So it was more the event started at university, and then it was thrown into London life. And Exeter doesn't translate into London in terms of like the revenue generated at festival. So it's very much kind of where the passion started. Is then I was an intern in a VC. They were helping them with their events, sort of more corporate events, to sort of live this lifestyle of running this festival. Festival teams are very small, 3 to 4 people. Like at its peak, there's 400 people on the festival when you take the stewards, the safety, the volunteers, the DJs, the promoters, the ticket people, like the first aid, lights guys, binman, it's an army. But actually at its core, a festival team is very, very small in the rest of the time, because a lot of it is planning, and that can be done over a long, long period. So that meant that, I just started, and I have a big belief that, you can go find your dream role on day one, but you can also just start and do whatever. Yeah. Because whatever role you're doing, you have to learn. Like, and I think so it was starting, and I think it was I knew I liked marketing, I knew I liked events, I knew I liked tech. So that was actually an amazing event, because that's where I sort of ran my first sort of crypto Web3 meetup, very, very early 2013. Wow. But the whole time I was kind of, on my forefront, I am an entrepreneur, and I was trying to build and survive. As London is like
brutal.
It is a brutal city, like at the time, there's various stories to tell.
Well, that's what we're here for, so go ahead.
Our friend, was converting a office into a hostel, and we all were living there, and 12 of us in this incredible, like, idyllic sort of London, Islington sort of terrace. And that was really fun with 12 of us, lots of people starting their companies. And I think over the times, for me, doing lots of roles very quickly allowed me to see, like, I think what you're trying to find out when you're young is what you don't like. Exactly. You're not going to know what you do like, because you don't know what you don't know. Exactly. But what you do know is having 5 different, I was quite lucky to be relatively senior in either small companies or exposure to senior people in the bigger group that I was in. Seeing how people treat people, seeing how they do their leave policy, seeing, all of this, whatever business you're building is exactly the same, really. Yeah. Like, obviously your what defines a group of people or a company is how you all react with each other. So I think seeing how lots of different people did it was a great learning. Yeah. One of the main reasons why I ended up starting this podcast is because I found myself being done with university. And even though I just went through 6 years of education, I actually had less of a clue what I wanted to do than before I went into it. So what I'm trying to find out is there any advice as far as how can you figure out what paths to follow? Like, there's lots of paths, isn't there? Like, we are no longer, I go and join Microsoft, age 24, and I leave 77, 67. We're not the French. French are rioting right now about 62, 65, I think it is. No, but 60, it's not, I'm going to Dell and I'm leaving when I'm 67 and I'm going to sit on the beach. Because, right now, if you want to sit on the beach, you can do that tomorrow. What is stopping you from going sitting on the beach tomorrow? Go get a remote job and sit on the beach. Like, a lot of people don't want to sit on the beach because they're not ready. And so so I think there's gonna be lots of different phases of your life in this section. I think find something that you like, but start, like, you're like, well, I've done lots of education. I'm not sure what to do. You're seeing lots of people, you know, at the moment I'm running an agency, and, you know, we have, you know, one of the things that makes me excited is that the young people that come and join, and wow, there's nothing like learning over managing 4 campaigns in a week sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you're in a company, you may do 1 campaign a year sometimes.
Yeah.
But because people come when they're ready for a campaign, like seeing a campaign, learning from it in that speed, it's a brilliant way. And then you're like, as you get to my age, or as you get like older and you've got more experience, you're like, wow, I know I'm a really good account manager, or I'm a really good podcast producer, or I'm a really good account director, or I'm a really good accountant, whatever your skill set is. And then it's time for you to find what's my role in the world? Like, I'm really passionate about the environment. I want to go and work for an eco-friendly soap brand, whatever it is, or I want to work for an eco-friendly, you know, and at that stage, you're trying to match your meaning to your why. I think in the beginning, getting caught up with what you're doing and not what you're learning. But then there's also starting, you know, like, you know, one of the things that people struggle with is, you know, Twitter exists. You know, and to your old question, I'm lucky in that I've always been quite passionate about what I'm doing, and Twitter has been a brilliant tool. It's micro ecosystems.
Yeah.
You know, our email is filtered and people are reading it, and you know, it's a busy place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Email, Slack, ping. But Twitter, you know, everyone's still reading their Twitter, tweet them, LinkedIn. And so I think just start. And once you start, you're like, right, I don't like that, or I'm not good at that. Because we're not going out in the morning to make food. We're not, you know, we don't need to work 6 days a week on the farm to generate food. We're working for a purpose in a slightly, we want to feel good about what we're working on. And therefore, if you can find out what you like doing and you're good at and adds value, that's the equation. That's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot. And I say it when I'm you know, and sometimes which is why a lot of people go to a big company, because in a big company you can join in a marketing department. Actually, then you can try a business department, or you can try you know, there's lots. It's like lots of different, you know, whereas in a small company, people are a lot more needed, aren't they?
I partly disagree with that, because I think that in some cases you're right, and people indeed then join a big company for the sake of trying a few things. But I think also what happens a lot, which in my opinion is a bit of a mistake, is that people join a big company for the prestige of it, for the ability to say, look, I worked at this and this name. How great am I, kind of.
Yeah. I guess it's the brand, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you come from McKinsey, we know that you've done 3 years of nights, that training. You know, sometimes, I mean, like, I've always worked in small companies because I like the autonomy, I like the agency of being able to be like, right, this is the idea, this is how we're going to get it. You know, like Luno grew to, you know, when we joined, there's a handful of people, and now there's 1,000 people. You know, it wasn't a big company when we joined.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to see that growth. And, you know, like, again, it's a similar concept, you know, capital, like early stage projects struggle a lot of the time with capital. You know, well-funded businesses, they don't struggle with capital, but they've got a million other problems that they are dealing with. You know, like, you know, the amazing thing about a startup is you can tick 6-7 times in a quarter. Yeah, trying to get 9 senior leaders to change their mind. You know, it's very, very, very tricky. Yeah. So that being said, I don't think there's any right way.
No, of course not.
Like, you know, and what comes down to, you know, I was saying earlier, like, if you are like certain companies are very like family friendly, you know, like they're very established. Some are very remote friendly, you know, like if you are really remote culture is who you are, and it's really important to you. Well, why go put yourself through a company culture that's not remote?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so I think that that part of the direct fit is a lot easier to do when you have the skills. You know, it's
from working in a big company, you mean, or just in general when you have figured out what your skills are?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a big company or a small company. I think sales, like, you know, some of my first jobs that, you know, some of those sales jobs, you know, calling people up and just bang, bang, you know, the resilience and the skill, because whether or not we're in a sales role or not, we are selling our ideas at all points. You know, whether it's you know, our pitching or our internal presentations or our documents, or we're storytelling, you know, and I think that's, once you learn that, then, you know, I've seen someone recently who was, you know, did 3-4 years of sales, and then they've gone on and become a nutritionist, and it's an amazing pivot. They're really happy now, you know, they're no longer doing tech sales. They love their tech sales, and they're earning like slightly less, but like their lifestyle's incredible, you know? And that's perfect fit. And I don't think it'd be like, you know, Gary V, you know, he loved what he was doing. He was building his family's business. He was videoing wine every day. Every day he was hustling, every day. He obviously has to tone that down because the hustle culture became like, you know, what was deemed as the internet's quite toxic. But like what he was really saying is like, don't go and do something you don't like every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If
it's not for you to go and have to listen to Mackenzie or PwC, you know, like, you know, a lot of people I know from uni went to PwC or Accenture, or I forget what the others, but you get it. Those big institutions.
Yep.
And you know, at this point, they're like, you know, en route up a very, very like serious ladder, and there's real progression for them.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, that for other people, that's not what they want. And I don't know the correct answer.
Yeah.
I do know that you will always get what you want if you want it enough. If you really,
for the right reasons, indeed.
Well, no. It could be the wrong reasons, and then you could get it, and then you could realize that you're actually really unhappy because you got you got what you wanted.
Yeah.
Got that thing, but actually you were actually really happy with what you had over there.
Yeah.
And I think that is a challenge.
Yeah.
And if you really want it, you will get it.
Yeah. If you're anything like me, entrepreneurship and being a creator has given me the life of freedom that I have so long looked for. But in order to allow me to continue doing that, I have to keep my paperwork in order, meaning that invoices have to be sent, my taxes have to be done, all receipts should be saved in the same place. And this was something that frustrated me for years until I found Moneybird. And luckily, they have decided to sponsor the Quarter Life Crisis podcast. So if you're like me and you're looking for one tool where you can send your invoices, send invoice reminders, store all your contacts, store your receipts, figure out how you should do your taxes, and you're a creator or entrepreneur in the Netherlands, then Moneybird is the tool for you. It has saved me so much time and hassle, and I can strongly recommend. So with that, thanks for listening, and let's get back into today's show. So I'm quite intrigued to understand how the pivot for you occurred, that you ended up going from organizing music festivals to starting a marketing Web3 company. What was the reason for the change, first of all, or was there maybe something in between that I'm missing that happened that gradually led to that change?
Yeah, so my events music business started when we were 20. So yeah, 2021. So it was very, very, very much an early sort of. It wasn't really a business. It was like, we have a need to put this on. Right. How are we going to do it? Who are we going to get to do it? And it was amazing. And it grew and it grew, and it turned into a brilliant lifestyle business. You know, if you were to live in Exeter, you can run that forever and it could keep growing. But, you know, so that was not where I wanted to be in the world and in London. And, you know, I was drawn to the innovation. You know, being very passionate about crypto and Bitcoin and what it stood for a long time. And it was natural. And while I was doing that, and as I got a bit older, and I struggle to go out now, let alone
I feel that.
let alone move sound systems up and down stairs at 7 a.m. in the morning. Because it's as cool as running a music festival is. A lot of it was like, you know, we didn't sleep one year for about 40 hours. We're moving fences, like what needed to be done, and it needs to be done now. Painting, like it's a real I mean, there's no experience like it. And then afterwards, you just keel over. But that what I'm very proud of is that that's going on. You know, it's going into its 10th year.
Right. Are you still running it then, or just advisor?
I'm not running. No role. Well,
okay.
I have to watch like a proud dad. Go on. I'm very proud of what Aaron and Hold It Down Music have done and carrying it on, and that makes me really, really happy. You know, and it's that's carrying on. But so that was the natural end for the team. And amazingly, still really good friends with the team, and you know, one of my co-founders from that has set up One Click Event Insurance, and I'm an investor advisor on that, and we're insuring the thing. So we're still very much involved, but that was a natural end.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think sometimes doing too much at once is not good for you, you know. And so I really needed to focus on my next role, which was at Luno. And that started in 2018, right in the crash bear market. If you've ever tried marketing crypto in a bear market, don't. It's really tense. and so that was 4 years that we were there, and really we grew that. And it was the pandemic that made me go like, oof, right, I'm ready to start the agency, and here we are now.
Yeah, exactly. This Luno, what was the business there?
Luno is a cryptocurrency exchange.
Okay.
So it's like a crypto for everyone. It makes it easy to buy Bitcoin in 1 to 2 clicks.
Yeah. Similar to Coinbase then? Or?
Coinbase of Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's probably one of the best startups in South Africa.
Right.
And very much like Coinbase, you know, quite expensive but secure. You know, you know what you're getting. Anyone can put in a credit card and buy, which sounds simple now, but
at the time
it really was. You know, and you know, they're doing really great things. Obviously, they sold to DCG,
right,
which was great to see them exit DCG's digital currency group, probably one of the biggest backers of crypto in the space, run by Barry Silver. Has 300 to 400 investments, you know, Ledger, Coinbase, early in all of the big projects. So amazing where they're going and everything they were going. And it's like, that was great in their journey. But I was like, it's time for me to
do my own thing.
My good mentor and friend, you know, almost says like working in a big company like that is almost like a paid holiday,
right?
Paid university, you know? And I always viewed it as though it was my company. It wasn't, but I took every decision as though, what would I do? And trying to practice. Of course, now when there's problems, and I was like, damn, that management team. And then I realized that management team is me. So I'd love to go back to blaming that management team. But no, the lessons and the learning and the training was an amazing time, and, you know, very, very happy. And, you know, I was actually building out a lot of content, and, you know, I'm a big fan of content storytelling. I think it's in a world where we don't understand a lot of things, but we understand value. I think that's a great place for us to get back to. So that's the pivot. Very, you know, we sold Hijack to Aaron, and very happy that it's carrying on, and it's not the like let's all retire. It's more like running a music festival is a passion. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of risk. COVID,
But before we get into ZEBU, it sounds like you've pretty much always been aware of the benefit almost of chasing your passion, or at least you have no fear of not doing it. Do you know where that comes from within you? Because there are simply a lot of people out there that would not chase it because they're scared of the fact that they may fail.
And I failed multiple times. There's part of, I think the option of not doing what I like doing is almost harder than doing what I don't like. It's always been what I like doing is what I'm doing, and I just wouldn't know how to do it the other way. So that have been tricky.
Is that a product of the way you were raised, or is that just how you are internally?
I wouldn't know.
No, okay.
No, time is really short, and if we spend our whole life waiting, I think it really is like get it done, try and enjoy it, and we'll crack on.
Yeah. So eventually you found ZEBU. Now, I tried to read into it, but to be honest, I'm probably one of the least technical when it comes to these kind of things. So try and explain to those that don't understand what Web3 is, what ZEBU is, and also what Web3 is specifically.
Yeah, so Web3 is like a catch-all term for like all of the modern innovation that's happening. Mm-hmm. And really, I love there's lots of examples and similes to make it simple, but if you imagine a top brand, the social media team they have right now, it's a big social media team. A Web3 team will just be like that. It's a digital, so that is covering lots of different catch-all term for metaverse, banking, identity, online collectibles. We love collecting things. People have collected trainers, cards. Authenticity is a key goal of this. So what Web3 is, Web 1 is read. Like in the early days, we no longer had to buy a newspaper. Mm-hmm. We then got to read the whatever newspaper you read online for free. Yeah, that was amazing. Everyone was like, "Wow, we can wake up, we can read the newspaper, we can read." Web 2 was read and write. So it's 2007. This is like, wow, I've read the newspaper and I can now tweet you. This is absolute nonsense. Yeah. I think this. That's when you're a form of a modern day blogger. You're making a pod as they call them. Yeah. But this is when people were working up their own WordPress sites, and they were blogging away, and so that's the read and the write. Mm-hmm. But really, a lot of it was happening on Facebook. A lot of it was happening on Twitter. Bebo for
MySpace.
MySpace for the older people in the audience. But all of the big data and all of the information was owned by the big corp. So Web3 is read, write, own. And it's as simple as once you create something, micropayments like music can go to the creator. Like there's no need for a big centralized system. Everyone is decentralized and everyone is owning what they make. The moment you make good content and people are listening, you're getting instant pay. It may be tiny because it can be divided into a million bits. Yeah. And so I come from it from very much I was into Bitcoin early. I messed around with it as early as 2011 on the internet. Didn't really know what it was. 2013, I ran an event, met a guy called Paul Gordon, one of the most knowledgeable people. He ran the first ever Bitcoin meetup, which like amazingly became a part of ZEBU, and we helped them rebrand later down the line. Yeah. And I just knew that was the future, and it's like people are like, "Are you shocked?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." Yeah. I knew this would happen. I literally had to try and grab people to tell them that it would happen, but I knew it would happen. Yeah. What I am still still a pinch me moment. I was in the Louvre in Paris drinking free champagne. I was in this amazing rooftop in Portugal, Lisbon. I'm like, it is happening, isn't it? Yeah. This is real. Like, I know, no part of me surprised that. And so That being said, in my time in Luno, I worked with a lot of big, good agencies. Brilliant. Like London is brilliant at making marketing agencies. We got some of the best in the world. But like marketing is about communication at its heart, storytelling. And if you don't understand it and you're not passionate about it and you're trying to get it, how are you telling millions of people it really simply? And so by launching my own project, I was like, right, this is time to, well, again, it wasn't like, this is what I want to do. Suddenly people started texting me being like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And I was in a stage where I was saying yes to everything. Like, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do this. And it suddenly just went boom.
Right.
And, our goal really at its core is to help these projects tell their stories to the world. We're working with big brands, we're working with small startups, and really help them navigate this new minefield of what is marketing.
But then specifically in like the metaverse, or is it more just still general marketing campaigns? Or
it's marketing for like DeFi projects. We had DeFi Summer, like DeFi is decentralized finance. So a lot of like really cool apps, and there's so much cool stuff that's happening there. Real world assets on chain, with the factor, token tracks, some cool stuff there. Solana, Near, OKX, and out of that morphed the community that we built. ZEBU Live, and ZEBU Live was us bringing together the London community, building one of the coolest events, and all of our friends together, and that happened in 6 weeks. Everything happens really quickly in crypto. We joke. Yesterday.
And then in the space of, because how old was ZEBU? 2 years, 3 years?
It's 2 years,
2 years. You end up merging, or did you sell to Flight Story?
Yeah, so we've merged with Flight Story in 2 years, which is wild.
It's mad.
And very exciting. Like who's the CEO there? He built Social Chain with Steve. That got to 250 people, really big online global group, really good experience in America. And they were like, listen, we like what you're doing. We can help you.
Yeah.
We know what it's like to scale. It's very hard to scale people businesses. We can really help with that. And I was like, wow, my goal is to have as much impact as possible in the space as quickly as possible. I was like, this is great. So it's been a real challenge, and we're in our first 90 days. And,
was there at any point when you ended up or selling or whatever, when you got that notice, how was that feeling for you? Was that a positive feeling, or was that more of an anticlimactic feeling, or?
No, it's day one, isn't it? Because everyone's like, well done. And it's like, well, it's not well done. We've just started.
Yeah, exactly.
It's day zero. Like all of our debt, I'm here for the long, so we got a big mission ahead of us and a lot of work to do. All the decks need changing. There's 4 or 5 other agencies that are like, right, how are we going to work with these guys? But what was climatic is that I met everyone and I was like, bang, I like these people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like these are our kind of people. I can see this group forming, and and having been in a company at a similar sort of stage, the first sort of X number of people there, and watching it grow, I know the different stages of this, and it's funny to be back at this stage, because when a company is 5, 6, 1,000 people, it can't just chew in the same way. It's like, it's very one of my mentors said, like, what part of the company do you like being at? Do you like, because there's no right, back to earlier, there's no right. Some people love being in, I don't know, where your startup experience, but like person between 4 and 15 in a startup, your job title doesn't matter. Make it work. Most of the time it doesn't work, and you'll be like pre-client, like scrubbing the floors, planting stuff, painting the walls. You may have titles. It's quite funny when people call themselves global head of. And it's like, they are the
3 people in the company.
3 people in the company. And it's like, and some people love that stage, lots of, whereas some people, they're slightly more settled. They love the consistency and the the rigor of working at, because when you're working with a lot of people, it's like if you imagine a war and 3 people are shooting over here and 3 people are shooting over here, the enemy's just walking straight through and like bang, shot the king and walked out. When there's a lot of people and there's an army, you need your snipers, your to walking in a line. And I think that's a very different skill set to just being in a small group. And what I do know is I'm very excited about that ability to be slightly bigger, go, with all the groups, well over 100 people now in the group. And it's that ability we can make things happen, Yeah,
exactly.
That's a lot of firepower. That's a lot of, and the goal of a group is that 1 + 1 = 3. Yeah. Shared resources, shared knowledge, shared clients. Suddenly clients are like, oh, wow, these guys can do this, this, and this. Because the danger with agencies is people try and service their biggest client. And then suddenly you've got, oh, yeah, we can help you with this. Oh, we can help you with this. Oh, yeah, we can help you with this. Suddenly you're like, we can help you with this.
Everything.
What is this?
Yeah.
Marketing is very unique, and like a lot of marketing doesn't work. So it's, and that's okay. But understanding what is working and what's not working, and we're very hard on ourselves. We're very ambitious, very driven about what we want to achieve. We don't always look back and be like where we are. And sometimes, I love to flick through the decks that we make over the years and how they go.
Yeah, exactly.
And my favorite entrepreneur, Reid Hoffman, he always talks about jumping out of the plane and building it on the way. And then the second thing he says, if you're not embarrassed of your first prototype, you've waited too long. And presumably you had the same. You could be editing.
100%.
You could be editing this. You try and make me seem normal, and you could be editing this podcast for 3 weeks to cut out pauses and weird. But like, eventually you got to get it to go, don't you? And because only you are looking at these minute details. And like, we're definitely embarrassed about like some of our first pitch decks. We're lucky with what we've created.
It was actually my reasoning for why I ended up deciding not to get my own studio, but rather to do a remote setup, because what I found was that the only people that actually hear the noise or like the fact that it's bad sound or even like not super studio quality cameras are the nerds, essentially, the ones that obsess over those details. But the majority don't even see it.
Yeah.
The majority just see the fact that you're putting something good out there and that it's casually improving. But that is sort of that's the hard lesson that I at least had to learn with doing music, actually. So, because as a musician, you're constantly trying to get it perfect. And as a result, nothing happens. You don't put anything out.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that have been producing music for so long. Yeah. And I'm just like, put it out.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And I think maybe that's the difference between the startup culture does encourage failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas musicians are a lot more... Perfect. We know that this is not our final bit of work, but we got to do this to get this guest, and Steve he's always very good at, like, on his podcast, like, please subscribe. And I listened to that podcast when it was just him on his phone voice noting at 5 a.m. or whenever he used to work. It's 5 a.m. guys, and there were no guests.
Yeah.
And that's the progression, it's 30 people in that team now.
Yeah, exactly.
Working on that full time on that podcast, We've got someone just doing the trailer editing.
Yeah.
Which I think they do a great job on. But it's that progression.
Yeah. I have a segment on my show. You'll have seen the jar in front of you. I just realized that I actually need to refill it, but it's filled with community questions.
Okay.
So feel free to take one out and read out both who asked it the question and then what your response is to the question.
Okay. RRROOS.
Rose.
Rose.
Yeah.
What is your favorite good memory?
Food memory, I think.
What is your favorite food memory? Favorite food memory? I think one moment that stood out, because I never experienced it before, was being in Brazil.
Okay.
And one of those all kind of things that you can eat, where they bring like chicken and chicken heart and steak, and that was amazing. And I think growing up, we were allowed to do whatever we liked, but we had to be home for lunch on Sunday. So it'd be between Friday, whenever you got out of whatever it was, and Sunday at, let's say, 2 p.m. was a sort of a free window.
Yep.
And, you know, there were some moments where we'd be out, we'd be, you know, early stage partying and, you know, wild, and just sort of getting my way back, and the safety and the comfort of being back, but also, you know, those family moments were really, really, really big moments, and sort of quite a nice sort of end to the weekend.
Then I'm at my last question, and that question is, what does the future hold for you?
Define future. Right now I'm working on it really feels like hour by hour basis. The next 3 months is integration. The next 3 years is building what I set out to do with ZEBU, leading Web3 marketing agency, and hopefully my role in the organization grows. I develop, and you know, after that 3 years, I can only say following my passion. I've always got lots of ideas of things I would like to do, but I think right now it's just focus on the next 3 years. Next 3 years, building the Flight 3 arm, the Flight Story group. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity. You know, US, you know, when we think of the world, like, we sometimes think with a Western aspect, but like there's a whole world to market to. And, you know, my real hope is that we bring the next WhatsApp to Web3, you know?
Right.
We don't talk about a centralized Web2 video sharing. We shared location earlier, WhatsApp. Yeah. Like, yo, slide into my DMs or ping me, you know? Yeah. The colloquial term, and I believe that product will be built for Web3.
Right.
And I would like to be the one that brings that to market.
Right.
And that hopefully adds value to the world.
Yeah.
But yes, I think also, you know, healthy. You know,
I was just about to ask, what about on a personal basis?
Back to that. Healthy, try and hold down a girlfriend.
Okay.
Make sure I keep beating my friend at tennis, you know, skiing, all of the stuff that I love doing, you know, and trying to fit it in a way that it's not like, right, at the end of the year, I should quickly go do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That I'm doing it on a daily basis.
On purpose.
On purpose, yeah. And conscious drinking, conscious sober, you know. I'm trying to be sober a lot more than I would be in the past, which is funny because before I couldn't afford beer. And I seem to drink a lot more. And now it's like, now I should try to drink less beer, even though I can afford more. Even though just about in London, £7 a pint or whatever it is. But it's funny, you can afford it more with a credit card and whatever, but actually trying to drink less. So it's a weird thing. But you're really, really excited, I think.
Nice. Your passion is very contagious, so I really enjoy that. Thank you so much for taking the time for me. I know you're a busy man at the moment, so I really appreciate that, and I hope it helps.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's like almost therapy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cheers, dude.
I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. And if you want to stay up to date on everything from the quarter life crisis, we now have a weekly newsletter going out every Sunday. I've added the link to it in the description. You can sign up on our website. We try and give practical advice to help people get off the default path and build a life they love. And with that being said, thanks for listening again, and we hope to see you next week.